Alright, here we are out in the workshop again. Saturday morning. It's supposed to be single digit temperatures today, crazy wind chills, so ice fishing is not at the top of my list today. Probably get back into it later this week when it warms up just a hair. It's tough working outside, you know, on and off throughout the week or the whole weekend. Getting excited to go ice fishing afterwards. So, I'm going to do a video on power boxes. Hot topic lately on the ice fishing forums, ice camping, is power and diesel heaters. Use my diesel heater in the shop here, plugged into a regular outlet. But I use both of these. I've used both of these to power it as well out on the ice or camping. But I wanted a longer amp hour solution than the EcoFlow. So the EcoFlow, I love this thing, but this is only 40 amp hours. I built this one specifically to get more amp hours out of a power box, and I used a 100 amp hour battery in this box, so more than double the EcoFlow. So it does what I needed to do for specifically for ice camping, and lasts quite a bit longer, quite a bit cheaper than this, or if not in this scenario, it's probably more because of the Yeti box, but I already had that. And I was impatient waiting for a box that would fit a 100 amp hour battery. So I used the Yeti box, but you could get away with probably a $50 ammo crate, whatever fits the battery. This was it's about $340 now. I paid, when it came out, I paid $100 more than that. So I paid $440 for this. This I'm into for less than 200 or about 200 without the Yeti box. So that gives you an idea what it costs. This does not have an inverter for AC, but when I'm out on the ice, I don't use the AC outlets anyway. So this, for me, was a better solution than the EcoFlow on the ice. I like I said, I use both. This will run my diesel heater. This 12 volt outlet is 15 amp or higher than what the diesel heater calls for, so it runs fine off that. I just want more runtime for ice camping than this is going to give me. On solar, no problem with either one of them, but I don't want to have to rely on solar. I just want the capacity out of the power box I'm bringing. This one is 18 pounds. The EcoFlow is 18 pounds. It is nice and lightweight. This one's substantially heavier, but again, double the runtime. Box is probably heavier than it needs to be, but it's completely sealed. So let's get into this one. I'll show you how I wired it up and what the capacity is. All right, so real quick, I'm going to go over the EcoFlow. There's a million videos on YouTube, so I'm not going to go crazy into detail, but you have 4 AC outlets, 3 USB-A's, USB-C, 12 volt, and 12 volt plug-in options. On the back, you have solar input and AC input here. So the really nice thing about this is that plugged into AC, this will charge, I think it's less than an hour to full charge, which is really nice. This one takes longer, running on a lithium battery charger, but I just make sure that it's fully charged before I go on a trip. This has Bluetooth monitoring, and so does the EcoFlow as well. Alright, so let's get into the power box itself here that I built. I built this last year, probably on a day similar to today. I had all the 12 volt parts, and I had this Yeti box. I didn't want to wait for something to get delivered or go out and grab something. So this worked pretty good. Everything fits in there nice and tight. 5-hour battery fits in there on its side. In there we also have the charge controller and the fuse block. We'll go over there in a second. So on the top here we have two 12-volt outputs. These are both 15 amp protected on the fuse block. We have a battery monitor which you can see anytime because that's connected directly to the battery. These are turned on and off through the charge controller. This is another XT60 output. It's just a different connector type that I can connect to, I think, my flasher. That's the connection on my flasher as well as my chargers. On the back here we have solar input, and then we also have DC in and out. This is connected straight to the battery, so I can charge the battery through this port. I can also connect to my Humminbird Helix as an output from this because it has the same SAE connector on it. The important thing with using these SAE connectors and this style, make sure your red and black line up, because you can get the other side of this and they are not matched up. So something to make sure when you're wiring one of these. So inside we have the brains of the operation. Now this battery is a smart lithium battery. I have the app on my phone so I can check in on it. Show that real quick. That is not it. There it is. Okay. So it shows me my battery there at 100%. It just gives me all the battery information that I need, so I can. Another way to check things on this one. So inside we have charge controller, backside of our different outputs there, and a fuse block with the correct fuses for what I need for the 12 volts. Again, it's two 15 amp fuses so I can power my diesel heater. That was pretty much why I built this, was for the diesel heater. The charge controller, this came with my 200 watt solar panel, and I connected it in here because the EcoFlow has a direct input, so I don't really need to use it for that. But this screen breaks down the voltage. It gives you another battery meter, and you can turn the fuse block and the accessories on and off, which is nice. So now they're on. Back up here. This will also give you a voltage reading, but you can't really go by that for lithium batteries. So it's just this style USB charger has the on and off. There's others out there that don't have an on and off switch, and they constantly run. And if I can get away with not having anything draw down the battery, that's the route I'm going. So that's that. I'll usually turn this off, and I'll unplug the battery from the charge controller when I'm not using it, just because I don't want anything using power when I'm not. So that is pretty much it for this. This again was a much cheaper option. The battery itself was $160. I think I probably have maybe in total, I don't know, under $100 in parts for the different outlets, all the different connectors and stuff like that. And this is twice the capacity of the EcoFlow, which was $340. It's $340 now. I paid $440 for it when it came out. And this, so in total, this has two 12-volt cigarette outlets, an XT60 input or output, two USB chargers, direct SAE input or output, battery gauge, solar charge controller, and solar input. So this has, aside from the AC, this has quite a quite a bit more options than the EcoFlow does. So this thing is great. I plan to build another one either with a 200 amp hour battery or potentially two 200 amp hour batteries. And I will put an inverter on that with AC for whatever, battery backup for home, or give me more options when I'm camping. But I hope that this gave you some ideas. I mean, this is super easy to do, super easy to wire up. It's just a matter of getting the outputs you're going to need for whatever you're doing, as well as wiring it appropriately for what you're using it for. It's not that difficult and costs quite a bit less than an actual power station. That's the biggest thing, is if you're going to get a power station, just do some research on how many amp hours that power station is, because you'd be surprised. Even power box 3 times the size of that EcoFlow. Now maybe it's 2 times the size of that EcoFlow is still not the same amp hours as this battery box. The next size up on that EcoFlow, double the size, I want to say was 75 amp hours, so you're still not even at 100 that you're at for this. And that power station, I think, is $600-700. So, yep. That's it. Good luck this season. Hopefully sometime I'll be able to get out there and do some camping on a decent weekend where we don't have 2 feet of snow or 40-mile-an-hour winds. Later. Check it out. Check a reel.